Entertainment Network. I Reese. The talk is still real. We still on the corner. We can touch on some topics. SKN, we got topics. Let's have a discussion. The people got questions. The people want answers. Yeah, we got topics. Let's have a discussion. The people got questions. The people want answers. Yeah, it's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. Yeah. I ran Reese. Dynamic talk is still real. We still on the corner. Real talk. We can touch on some topics. It's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. Yeah. Check it out. You know, in tune.
My daddy made this beat.
Yo, check it out. You know, in tune to the dynamic duo, Reese and Ira, on the corner, Real Talk Corner. Real Entertainment Network. Ira and Reese. The talk is still real. We still on the corner. We can touch on some topics. SKN, we got topics. Let's have a discussion. The people got questions. The people want answers. Yeah, we got topics. Let's have a discussion. The people got questions. The people want answers. Yeah, it's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. Yeah. I ran Reese. Dynamic talk is still real. We still on the corner. Real talk. We can touch on some topics. It's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. Yeah. Check it out. You know, in tune.
My daddy made this beat.
Yo, check it out. You know, in tune to the dynamic duo, Reese and Ira, on the corner, Real Talk Corner. Real Entertainment Network. Ira and Reese. The talk is still real. We still on the corner. We can touch on some topics. SKN, we
Well,
got
me not even gonna ask you. No, go ahead. I can't go on back. We live, so I can't go on back.
Yes, we live, we lively, we back again. Big up to everybody who tuning in. All the real talk, all the real talk supporters, enough respect. Tonight, Jamie, Mr. Alan Powell, Ira is fortunate to be taking some kind of leave. Alan is here with us. Alan, what going on with you, boy?
Me cool, you know. I'm doing a little double duty tonight. Nice to
Yeah,
be up over on Real Talk, and I like to come over here every now and again. And we
from
have
time to time.
we have an interesting guest as well. So
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Maybe the fact that Ira out is fortuitous for me, you know. So
yeah, man,
I
you walk
can
out,
just
you know?
take the function, yeah.
How you mean? Bye. How about the shot they look good, boy?
Yeah, you're supposed to know.
But that shot they look good, boy.
Oh, God. No, we sit down and you settle down, you realize what's going on.
Yeah. That shot they look good. That shot they look good. You know what I mean? I realize one thing more, you know, every time you come and they say that you know, be official, you know. When you come over here, you're a
Uh,
living legend walking superstar. I know that.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, man. Hey, but tonight you're gonna be joined by Mr. Devon Cornelius. As we know, Devon Cornelius is a member of media within the St. Kitts Navy Sphere. and we'll be speaking with him. Devon, I attend a lot of press conferences, rub shoulders with some of the big wigs. So we're going to talk to Devon about his experiences and court matters as well. So without further ado, man, Devon, come in. Master Control sending Devon. Mr. Cornelius, good evening. Welcome to Real Talk Corner.
I'm not hearing Mr. Cornelius. Devon, you with us? Tanya, Jason gonna be alright. After this, we still got the topics. I'm gonna get to put on my hoodie when the topics come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right now we're waiting for Mr. Cornelius.
Waiting for Devon to tune in. Tanya, blessings, greetings, good night. Hey, Tanya, we big support of the network, so big up to Tanya. Every week, boy, faithful.
Devon
Yeah. I had one to say, in addition to having experience with the media, Devon also to give us a perspective, like from a youth perspective, and from an NRP perspective as well. Yeah, you widely known.
One of the good things about Devon
Are you
is
guys
he's not
hearing me
from.
now?
Yeah,
All right,
hearing you loud and clear.
loud and clear.
All right. I don't know what the issue was, but So yeah, good night again, guys, and thank you for the opportunity to
Thank
be
you.
on the show tonight. Look forward to a very fruitful conversation, and of course, the feedback from those who are viewing the program tonight.
All right, greetings. Alan, you made a statement when we were off there, and I want to ask Mr. Cornelius about it. And Devon, this voice that you have, were you trained for this voice? Because when you speak, you have like a powerful voice. You're not shouting, but your voice gives command presence. How did you obtain this speaking voice?
It's natural. I'll tell you, it's natural, but I did receive some basic training when I started working in radio at WinFM, as well as at Nevis Television, and also being a vocalist where I sing with different bands and in different settings. I also received vocal training. So I learned how to use my voice and how to care for my voice. So I guess that adds to how it sounds, but there is some natural aspect to it as well.
Well, ain't nothing wrong, but you got a broadcaster voice.
Boy,
Yeah,
You supposed to be delivering information. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And
absolutely.
maybe sometime later you're gonna be delivering information of consequence. You know what I mean? In some capacity. Is it? Yeah. But I'm telling you, yeah, fantastic voice, man.
Yeah, man.
Reese, how you wanna approach this? I'm kind of a guest.
No, we
So
going we going what we'll do, we'll give Mr. Cornelius a little opportunity to speak a little about himself. Maybe about
okay.
3 minutes. Just give us a little background. Your childhood, your educational background, and how you made it to where you are today. And then we dive into
Mhm,
some topics, of course.
mhm. All right. Well, again, thanks for the opportunity. Very happy to be here. So, who am I? You said it earlier. I've been in media now for about 5 years, 6 years, going on 6 years. Started with state media, which was at Nevis Television. So I give the good men and women there all the credit for where I am today. They were the ones who nurtured me and showed me the ins and outs of media and all that I know today. Uh, it was right then when I realized that media, communications, journalism are the areas that I want to focus on and are the things that I want to do and see myself doing for as long as I am alive. I then went on to Win FM in a sense, which was a different climate in the sense that it was a privately owned entity. And so coming from state media to private media, it was a bit of a transition, a kind of rough transition, but nevertheless, it was a learning experience for me. And so it exposed me to different things and exposed me to leaders in the industry, in media and communications and all of that. And of course, having the opportunity to like participate in different workshops, investigative journalism, marketing, digital marketing, all things media. Did a few workshops with local and regional media organizations. Now, currently at ZIZ, where I have my own program called The Edge. So it has been an amazing journey. I won't lie, an amazing journey, learning a lot. In terms of my academic background, so I attended the Charleston Primary School, which is the best primary school on Nevis. Just have to put that in there. And then
Start off from good.
I went on up to Gingerland Secondary School, and I have no regrets attending that school. I
Mm-hmm.
think they played a very important role in who I am today. So kudos to the teachers and the principal who were there during my time. I left high school, and surprisingly to some people, I didn't go to sixth form. I went straight into the world of work. That's a decision that I made, which was not a popular decision, but it was something that I was adamant about and wanted to do, and I am happy that I did it. So I started working immediately and was just focusing on work and developing my skills and trying to find my footing. Then I was like, what, it's time to get serious with academics and qualifications. And so I did a few courses with UE. I did one in human resource management and public relations communication. And currently I'm studying for a bachelor's degree in communication at Southern New Hampshire University. So hopefully in the next 2 3 years, maybe less, I should finish there. But most of my training has been with local and regional organizations. Apart from media, I've also been involved, in politics. Politics meaning at the partisan level with NRP, and politics with youth organizations such as Sniper in St. Kitts, where I've been involved in numerous debates on local and regional stage. I was also involved in tourism as a tourism youth minister, where I represented Nevis on the regional stage in Grenada. And I was also involved in social development, where I got the opportunity to journey to Trinidad to participate in discussions and activities geared towards children and young people with disabilities. So at a young age, I've done quite a lot, but it's because of people who gave me an opportunity and saw that there was something good in me and something that I could bring to the development of Nevis. So that's me in a nutshell.
But as as Tanya said, very impressive resume. Especially at this stage. Alan, you want to start it off?
Um, yeah, let me give Mr. Cornelius a little bit more shine before we really get into the nitty gritty.
Mm.
Mr. Cornelius, I feel like you are gonna have a role to play in the building of this nation. You understand?
Hmm.
At some point in time, at some stage in time. So this is what this conversation. I think this conversation is necessary. The first question what I really had come off of what you say about media.
Mhm.
How do you look at NNC, for example? Well, okay. Let me look at broader first. How you look at media in Nevis?
In Nevis, in St. Nevis. Nevis.
Okay, you go give me some bits on Nevis. How you
Okay.
look at how the media is developing right
Okay. That's a very good question.
now?
And uh, thank you for asking me that. Now, being a media practitioner in St. Kitts and Nevis is challenging. One of the first hurdles I met when I started working in private media was getting access to information, critical information to make your stories, articles, and presentations meaningful and worth reading, right? And so, you had a situation where you're reaching out to not just ministers of government, but permanent secretaries, department heads, even those in the private sector organizations, right? And there is this resistance to provide information, whether it is, let me say, good information, or whether it is information that may deem you as a whistleblower. Like they just had the whistleblower protection bill pass, I think it was yesterday, right? So that was the
Mm-hmm.
first hurdle, which was very, very depressing. You had groundbreaking stories, and people oftentimes would criticize journalists and saying, "Yeah, long on information." It is because, by we face a serious fight. Let me give you one example, which is a huge one. CBI, citizenship by investment. I've been one of the journalists in St. Kitts and Nevis who have been asking about CBI figures, and not just asking, but doing homework and going to different sources, as we have been told by former and current Prime Minister. And we have not made much inroads, much success. So, it's media could be a lot better, but it has a lot to do with the collaboration from both private and uh, public sector. The second challenge is financial support. There is this perception that people who work in the media are either wealthy or well off because they're popular. So people think because my name is out there, Devonne Cornelius, big time journalist, he making all the big bucks, and he got all the assets and everything, when that is the furthest thing away from the truth. That's one of the challenges that media houses and journalists face: access to financing. And I'll explain. Let's use a private media organization. Now, one of the sources of funding for a media organization is ads and sponsorship. And so that
Definitely.
organization would have to rely on the private sector for the most part, public sector as well, but private sector. So supermarkets, businesses, events happening, all of these things. So every ad you hear in the radio, it is paid for, or it is sponsored by somebody, but it is paid for. And that is how we, as the staff at the media houses, are paid. That is how we maintain the radio stations, TV stations, and all of that. The challenge we face is whenever we get a story about Alan. So Alan is a major sponsor at this media house. Alan has been with us for 10 years. And then there's this big scandal about Alan, whatever. And we can't write about it because Alan gonna pull his sponsorship. And we've been faced with that many a times, where sometimes you have to choose between your mortgage and putting out a story. Hence the reason I use the term protect your mortgage syndrome. You got to really look at the pros and the cons. So, access to financing and people supporting media houses, and access to information. And the last one would be threat to your life. Now, you guys will be surprised when I say this, but I've been in media for about 5 years, and I have been met with some hostility from people because of the questions that I ask and the fact that I ask these questions. There was a time during the federal elections of 2022 on my way to work in St. Kitts. Many a times I would change my route because there were people who would gather at a specific location wanted to come at me because of the questions that I asked. And I was shocked, frightened at the same time. But what kept me going was the fact that I was doing my job. And if I wasn't doing my job, then these people wouldn't be upset. So those are the hurdles. Yes, they could be very depressing at times, but what keeps me going is the daily motivation and people appreciating the effort that I make and the contribution that I bring to the table.
I would add another one, which would be training, but that would be another
Training.
story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Training is a big part to it.
I feel like even opening the avenue to let people know you could be a broadcaster and make money.
Mm.
You could, and really and truly, it would go hand in hand with we got to be an event society. What Eric
Mm.
did by being an MC is no different than if you really got broadcasters for these sports. I think Curtis Morton is a man who have heard broadcast numerous sports throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Claxton, who from well, he live in Angola now. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we're missing that because you really supposed to have a voice at these things. I got a voice for basketball. I got a voice
Mm-hmm.
for NFL. I got a voice for
Mm-hmm.
football. It's important to have these people, and I don't feel like even that is appreciated. But I want to ask you a little more pointed question now.
Wait, hold
Sure.
on, Alan. Hold on, Alan.
Go
You
ahead.
because
Go
he
ahead.
said something that's
Go
very
for it.
important. He stated that he was met with threats, and you
Mm-hmm.
know how were you able to handle these threats, and how serious did you take these threats?
I took them very serious. Where, of course, I reported it to my editor, and I also sought legal advice in terms of the next step. Um, the other aspect was basically to ignore, you know,
Mm.
trying to fight back, and would be totally unnecessary and putting yourself in a position where you'll be vulnerable. And so I got advice from others in the industry who have been met with that level of hostility as well. And I got advice from them, which is something I still take very seriously until today. I'm very mindful of my surroundings because I know that journalism is not popular. Because let me tell you something: when you start to ask the unpopular questions, people people get why I can't even find the word. I know what I'm talking.
Yeah.
Hostile. I just say hostile. Um,
That's
the
too
question
small of
what
a
I
word, but
wanted
yeah.
to ask. The question what I wanted to ask now, more specifically with regards to the government.
Hmm.
How do you see NNC right now?
Hmm.
NNC
Well,
specifically as a media host.
well, firstly, let me shed some light on what NNC does, because I think there is also a misconception. So, NNC is actually the government's Department of Information.
Okay.
So, NNC is where people go to get information about what is happening in the government. That is why it was formed. I think they used to call it the Press and Public Relations Unit or something like that. But that is
Mm-hmm.
where So in other words, if the Department of Agriculture is doing something, they will use NNC as a marketing tool to help them put out the news to Nivisions at home and abroad, so people could know what is happening. So NNC is different to, let's say, ZIZ. ZIZ is something like a corporation. There is support from the government, but there is also some level of self-control where they have managers and directors and all of that. NTV functions just like another government department. I think that's the misconception where people think it's actually like a media house. It's a government department that puts out information, but they have developed over the years where they have people who are trained in journalism, mass communication, public relations, marketing, and all of that. So
So,
you will not
but
see quickly. You
essentially,
will not go ahead.
is
Go
a
ahead.
marketing company.
It's a marketing unit. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's a marketing unit. When I say marketing, to let people know what is happening within the government and matters of national certain matters of national importance.
Okay. The only reason, because over the years I've been disappointed. I feel like it
Mm-hmm.
could have transformed and really been. I thought it was supposed to be for content creation. So I thought that you
Mm,
would be looking to cover things like, I feel like the football finals. I
mm-hmm.
feel like the football in general, if you could cover that, just like how you do inter-primary, I think it should
Mm-hmm.
extend to cricket. I think it should extend to, even if you got spelling bee,
Mm-hmm.
put them in front on a camera. You know what I'm saying? I just I was looking at it like they should be creating content, but if it's a marketing tool, and
Mm-hmm.
based on what you said, I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I can
But
see it.
they have been doing some of that in terms of creating content and assisting other let me say statutory bodies in putting out information, but they have been doing some content creation over the years.
Yeah, as I said, maybe I can't be too harsh on them. When they really want to be a TV company, a corporation,
Uh-huh.
or put out content, then maybe
Well, you know,
maybe.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you
Mhm.
this, and this is might be an unpopular opinion, but I think as long as it is attached to the Nevis Island administration, there will be some limitations in terms of what they could do. Because whether it is NRP or CCM, there will always be some limitation or interference. Let me leave it at that.
What kind of interference?
I don't understand even that part.
Yeah, 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 I don't
I want
understand.
to understand because yeah,
If you tell me a limitation from a perspective of capital, I could understand.
Mm-hmm.
But I also see how you could have a structure. I was explaining to somebody like in America, Friday night is high school football,
Mm-hmm.
Saturday is college, Sunday is professional. You go set up
Mm-hmm.
these type of things and you go get the game of the week, and the big games just be the Friday games. For me, there's a way to make this thing kind of profitable at the same time. But as I said, maybe I was looking. I didn't realize it's just simply marketing. I wanted. I was looking at maybe if it could be more.
Mm-hmm. There is room for potential. There is room for growth, but again, there are limitations, and the department needs the support to do more. Let me say.
Do you still have any questions?
no, keep going. No, I asked my question,
Um,
last question on mine.
Okay. Um, I heard you mention in a previous interview you were doing that the monthly
Mhm.
press conference, the premier's monthly press conference, is not useful. I would
Mhm.
like to know why you don't think it's useful and what
Mhm.
could be done to make sure that it is actually something of substance that people will tune into and hear real issues.
2 words. Well, not 2 words. It's very three or 4 words.
Oh,
3 words. Provide credible information. Provide credible information. And you probably might ask what you mean by that. So I've attended numerous press conferences for the premiere. And quite frankly, some of the information shared at these press conferences are you have to second guess them. You have to second guess them. And I've come across some of the information shared where I don't know if could be a case where it just simply make a mistake, human error, or it could be a case where it is deliberate. That's one. Two, it's like a community calendar. So you don't get real information of national importance. You get things like the Department of Health is having a walk on Saturday. Education is having a spelling bee on Monday. I mean, that's not what you go to a premier's press conference to hear, you know? And so the people who really
You,
add
you,
some flavor to the press
you, you
conference
could just you could
are the
just watch NNC.
reporters. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So it came to the point where I stopped attending and I'll just listen or listen to a report given by NNC and they will summarize it. So the people who really bring the spice or the flavor to the press conferences are the reporters when they ask questions on very pressing matters, but the questions are usually avoided. So my advice to the premier would be to come with things that really impact people, useful information, and be credible and consistent. Bringing the community calendar vibes is a no-no for me. I don't think I should waste my gas to drive go to Penny's building every month to sit down and listen to a press conference where I could have called somebody up Department of Education to ask them the very same thing. It's a waste of time. I've
So
had
so
these
you so
situations where I
you
ask
would accept
questions on
them
press
you
and
would
get
accept credible information in the form of like a PS and above.
well,
What
he
level?
could give the credible information. He could
Okay.
give the credible information, and but you still gotta fact check them. I mean,
but here's
as
a
a journalist, you
here's
gotta
a
fact check
question
all
though.
the information, right?
Here's a question to them. What pressing issue that you could recall that should have probably been brought up in a press conference that wasn't, and we later found out about it? Like, what was something that you felt was omitted, or something that we should have known about, and for whatever reason, it just never came up in a press conference? Like, give us an example.
The issue about the recent sale of Nisbet Plantation, you had that issue. You had the issue with the hospital when the whole debacle first started. So we kept getting updates on the hospital, but we never knew the real story behind of it. There are a couple others that I can't bring to the tip of my tongue right now, but quite a few. You had the issue with the Mondo track and all of these things. So no real information came forward. It was just always um, updates. But the weren't necessarily updates. They were just things basically being repeated.
Okay, understood.
hmm So my advice to the premier is to try your best to answer the questions and give people useful information that reporters could write on and present to their audience. The community calendar type of press conferences is a no-no for me. When you look at press conferences in other parts of St. Kitts and Nevis and even in the region, you get real information.
So you would expect to hear, for example, in today's the fruits of the Dubai trip, for example.
Right. Like things like that. Don't come and tell me you went in Dubai. I know, I saw the picture. But tell me what what how did Nevis benefit, whether it be tangible or otherwise, from that visit? If you can't tell me, don't even talk about it in the first place. That is my view. But I don't want to give too much advice on how you should answer questions. I have to charge him for that.
Mm. Um,
All right.
yeah.
No, okay. So Devon, you spoke about the press conferences in Nevis, and I know that you attend press conferences in St. Kitts as well. What are your thoughts on the St. Kitts press conferences in comparison to Nevis press conferences, and do you feel more information is given?
Absolutely. I've attended press conferences under both former Prime Minister Harris and current Prime Minister Drew. There is still some challenge with getting access to information. And of course, the biggest one is the one about the CBI. But both press conferences for Harris and Drew, they do not have this community calendar style. They actually bring real information. They actually bring statistics and numbers, and the information that come from these press conferences, you can actually use them in a story and capture your audience, get your audience to like, okay, wow, this is some good information coming out here, and them speaking about things that actually impact people whenever they attend regional events. They actually come back and not just say that they attended, but say, how did St. Kitts and Nevis benefit from this trip, this visit, or whatever. I'm not saying the press conferences are perfect, because there's certain things that happen and certain information that is not shared that should be shared. My biggest one is the CBI. But if I had to rate the press conferences for the Premier, I'll give it a 3. For the Prime Minister, past and present, I'll give them between a 6 and a 7. In some cases, an 8, but between a 6 and a 7.
Fair enough.
So, lad, man, you know, give Premier a 5.
In some cases,
I
but generally a 3. A 3.
just, I just be hard on that Premier boy. I was listening to your show and you were speaking one day about the double salary. What's your take on this phenomenon that we have now, that we're the public servants are feeling entitled?
Alan, I'll
They
tell you
have
why.
already planned.
People, I have had, even up to this morning, I've had many conversations with civil servants, private sector workers, self employed about this whole double salary thing. And of course, naturally, if you work for the government, more than likely you will be in favor of a double salary. I mean, of course, you would want that. My take on it, it is not something that should be across the board. It is not something that should be seen as a must. I don't think it is something that is sustainable, because from I could be wrong, but from my understanding, one of the reasons why we are in a position to pay double salary is because of the non-tax revenue, which is the CBI. So the monies that are in this program is one of the reasons why we are able to pay the double salary. Let's say a double salary is to be paid this year, next year, whatever. I'm happy for civil servants because I'll tell you, Alan, there's some civil servants who I know they go above and beyond. They try. And so I don't want to paint all civil servants with a broad brush. But I'll tell you, the double salary thing where civil servants are of the view that they are entitled to it, no, you're not. This argument about them being 4 months or 4 weeks, something about 4 months and 4 weeks and in the year, something like that. I mean, what about the private sector? We see them 4 months and 4 weeks. Some of us get paid by the month. So I should beg for a double salary every year as well. But I if it was up to me, I wouldn't pay it. I really wouldn't. I like the style of allowing everybody to get a piece of the pie. To me, that's fair.
Any flexibility? Is it possible there could be an incentive put in where if you produce at a certain level, you then get to qualify? You
It
feel
should
like
be.
regardless of
It
okay.
should be. It should be. There are private sector organizations who have that mechanism in place, right? Where if you work and you work hard, you get a bonus. I could tell you for certain financial institutions, specifically for loan officers, they get a bonus, right? Depending on how many loans that they do. So let's say you do over $1 million in loans, they're gonna say, okay, Bob, we're gonna give you 10% or 5% or 15%. You're telling me now that civil servants across the board, those who take 50 sick leave per year, should get a double salary? That can't make
Okay.
sense.
At least you and the premier group or something, guy. He said the same thing last week. So I get tired to work on something. I get tired to work on something. I was gonna ask you a question. Well, you don't think that there would be a conflict? Suppose I'm working in a department that traditionally don't make money, whereas
Mhm.
somebody working at customs, which it is more likely for them to actually come out on top.
Hmm.
It might it
Good
might
question.
incentivize people because
No,
I
but
like the school. I feel like it got ways
no.
that the schools and them go start to get busy if they
Yeah.
really want.
Mm,
Hmm.
Alan,
That,
Devon, I'll
mm,
be honest with you. I think it could be a performance brace. It could be a performance brace. Let's say annual rating, and whoever
Hmm.
is your manager, whoever is your supervisor, your director, rate you based on the work that you put in. And it should be something where you would allow the employee to give a review of what they feel, and you give a review of what you feel, and at some point you have that meeting and you sit down and you speak about it, and boom.
okay. And here what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fix the press conference at the same time with the performance base. If Here's how we're gonna manage the supervisors. If the premier is asked a question and he ain't got nothing, the technocrat did not provide him with the information, you get a demerit because you ain't provide the premier with the information for him to answer the question. So that
Hmm.
gonna be how we gonna police the supervisors
Yo,
and do. I know fix it. I know fix it.
like something as simple as, let's say let's say for example you're the director of whatever. I think a part of your rating should be your employees' satisfaction with your work as well.
Hmm. You
Because
manage how you manage it. Yeah.
you can't be working in a place where everybody's disgruntled. Nobody wants to come to work, and you going home with a $20,000 bonus. No.
It shouldn't be. It really
Mm.
shouldn't be.
Um, Devon, I hear you mention also with Mr. Manners. 'Cause I listen to a lot of you in preparing for this and a lot of things. I hear you say that there are a number of things, pressing issues that are sometimes ignored or avoided in the press.
Mhm.
Now, I want to know what some of them are for you, but I got one of them which I find interesting. I would like to hear what's
Mhm.
your take.
Mhm.
Do you feel like we should have some type of campaign finance laws so that we could know this is what a party raise, this is what a party spend? You know what I mean? They buy this amount of ticket and them kind of thing that you feel like we could ever get to that stage?
I am going to go out on a limb here, and I'll say
Mm-hmm.
this: uh, the short answer to your question, yes, we should. And I'm not just saying it for saying it's safe. I'm saying it because I'm serious. And one of the reasons why I'm saying I believe, right, in accountability. I believe when you're in public office, you're there not to serve you, but to serve the people. And we need to strive, or people who hold public office need to strive to be honest and transparent. So you can't, on one hand, have a situation where the process of you getting in office is not transparent. So you get billions and millions and thousands and hundreds of dollars to propel you into office. But then when you get into office, you want to come tell me about integrity in public life. And I declare this and I declare that. But what about the process of you getting there in the first place? You know, it is an unpopular opinion and it may affect some entities, but that's fine. It is all in the interest of good governance and accountability and transparency. But Anna, you asked me a question about some of the pressing issues that people in the press sometimes don't, what's the word, avoid.
Mm-hmm. I want to
There,
about them there.
for legal reasons, this
Mm-hmm.
I can't mention it, but I'll give you an example or a hint. There
Mm-hmm.
was
Give me an
a
outline.
big there was a big allegation, and I use the word big, it was big allegation, very scandalous allegation laid against a business professional in St. Kitts and Nevis. It made headlines, bloggers, WhatsApp posts, everybody had it up. Every single media house had it up. Law enforcement agencies in St. Kitts and Nevis, or the agency, reported on it, even sent information to media houses. Media houses also reported on this. Subsequently, the legal team of that business professional got involved and they sent out their lawyers and I mean, I be the small fish, them in the media houses, so we not got the money to fight, so we had to pull back. What became of that? I don't know. I say no more for
Oh,
legal reasons. I don't have a legal fund. I don't
I
have a
want to hear
legal
about
fund.
that.
say,
I want to hear
say
about
no
that
more, say no
offline.
more,
We gonna talk
say
in
no more.
twos, but I don't have a legal
Yeah.
fund.
Alan, you don't forget about that.
Listen,
Alan, you not catch it?
I just got, I always got several contenders. You
No.
understand? For legal reasons, I just always got
Mm,
several
mm.
contenders. They
No,
ain't gonna say they know. You got several contenders. I confuse I
no,
you hear?
I play first slip. I catch a good catch the boy. Straight off the bat. Hey,
But yeah, there are lots of things that you don't give a, a great level of attention to because of concerns for your life, the safety of your family, the safety of your well-being. There's one story that I was following a lot, and I just got so disappointed. You guys remember when that customs officer allegedly um, shot himself in St. Kitts?
I can't
Okay,
remember at
y'all
the
don't
time.
remember. Yes, a
Can't
customs
remember.
officer, according to a report from the police, he allegedly shot himself, um, committed suicide or something like that, with some gun he took from a safe. Yeah, man,
Okay,
I'll
yes,
research it
yes, yes, yes,
and find it.
yes, I remember it.
Okay.
And I was one of the journalists who kept like literally every prime minister's press conference asked. After the press conferences, I'll go to the AG, past and present, and I'll ask questions, and never really got anywhere with it. But that was one of the issues that I kept following, but never got anywhere with it. But that was a serious one because of allegations surrounding why it happened and all of that, which I will not get into for legal reasons.
As you mentioned the AG, right? Sometimes because some of the matters we're dealing with are criminal matters, and the DPP has the jurisdiction there. Is he available as much as you would like as a member of the media?
If the AG is available, sorry,
No,
rephrase
not
that.
the AG. I was saying, oftentimes we go to the AG when we ask him questions of a legal nature. But some of the time, because the matter is a criminal matter and the DPP has jurisdiction there, I just want to hear more from the DPP. You know what I'm saying? Even with regards to like a lot of the investigations. So I was
Uh-huh.
wondering if the DPP is as available as you would like as a member of the media.
No, they're not. The former DPP um, was not as available as he should have been. You know, you had a case where there were so many cases or matters being in his office, and you had no idea. You had to go and find out. And when you attempt to get the information, you were met with hurdles. There is a new DPP, and I'm hoping he's listening, and I'm encouraging him to be more accessible in terms of allowing members of the media to have a conversation and get information from you, and get updates on matters currently being investigated. Of course, if you are at liberty to share, some matters would have to be private for whatever reason.
You see anything I want me
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
on
yeah.
going?
No, no, no.
Oh,
I want something to ask you too.
no, right.
Um, During the last election cycle, right here, Alan, we spoke about it. We spoke about bribery being a crime.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also went on to say, well, if a party buys a ticket for someone to come home, is that considered bribery? Devon, what do you think about parties bringing people home to vote? And do you consider it bribery as well?
Bribery is a broad term,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
We
That,
understand
I
that.
it
want to
is.
hear you.
I
I
I
want
I,
to hear
I
you.
think I bribery is a
Me to hear
broad
you.
term. I think it it has different meaning depending on the context in which you use it, right?
Okay.
So
Okay,
let's look at the
hold on,
let's look at the
Devon.
politics.
I want to give you some context. I
Uh-huh.
would like to provide you with some context so I can make it a
Go
little
ahead.
easier for you. If I spend, let we say $1,500 for you to come home to vote, who do I think you're gonna vote for, Devon?
I
I
think you
just
vote
asking the
for
question.
for
Oh, okay,
if you
no.
buy me a ticket,
A
more than likely me
bribe
might
is
vote for you.
now a bribe is where I give you an inducement or benefit to vote for me. So
But let me show you something,
that's the
Alan.
context. Speak to me.
Let me show you
Speak to me.
something. Let
Speak
me
to
show
me.
you something. Now, let's say I am a supporter, right? I live in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I
Good.
say I want to come home to vote.
Mm-hmm.
But master tell you the truth, me really can't afford it. Me
I feel
done
you.
make up my mind. Me done make up my mind me gonna come home go vote, right? My
Mm-hmm.
name ask you help me. You say me, why me got extra ticket? Let me send a ticket for you. Is that bravery?
Yeah.
Because you have received a benefit with the
Yes.
expectation of a vote, then
Mm,
under the law, it, because Devon, yeah, me tell you what my contention is. If we
mm,
bring in home people, let we tell people, listen, this is the time when the election gonna be. Everybody who come home, both parties split the bill. If it is
mm,
about voting and there is no inducement, then
mm,
send ticket to everybody.
mm,
And let who even want to come home and don't vote. But they come
mm.
home, yeah. I feel like
What
that would.
about if
But if I pay $1,500, Devon, you know who I feel like the person voting for.
mm,
Even though
what
it's not
mhm.
100%.
I understand what you're saying. I think when people look at bribery, though, right, in this context with the elections and so, the first
Mm-hmm.
thing they look at is if I give you $500 to vote for me.
Cash in
The
hand.
second thing, yeah, the second thing they look at is the plane tickets. But if we're gonna go there, let's just look at maybe a lift. I live Jessops. I mean, I'm but you gonna come with me.
No. He covered that, That don't count.
You cover
He
that
covered that.
too.
He covered that.
So
This
what
is why
about
I'm
the big year
saying
plate of food?
he covered that too.
Oh, me
He
monkey.
covered that too.
Oh.
No, they want
When
any
you keep
kind of
when you
game.
keep in meeting, you're not supposed to give out free food. That's an inducement. You give free food.
Mm,
He
hmm.
covered that.
But to answer the question,
And
though,
God,
to answer the question, if I think parties should bring home people, I'll say this first. If you do not reside in the federation and you want to come home to make a change, I'm of the firm view that you should buy your ticket and come home. Buy your ticket and come home if you want to make that change. However, I am not going to tell you that if you want to come home to vote and Alan decide he gonna sell a ticket to you to turn it down, let me leave it there.
I feel you.
No, we're not even going so far to the person turning it down. No? We want to stop with the parties. That's what we're looking at it. The party selling
Mm.
the ticket. I don't believe that no party should sell
Selling
a
the
ticket.
ticket. Mhm. I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
We're trying to save
What's
we're trying to save the party some money, and we're trying to let the election be decided and they go. We could be wrong. Could be wrong. But
some
that's
people
the
think the
intention.
elections are one in the air, but the elections held in December, the ground, the people who live on the ground, I think they sent a message and they voted, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But there, I have mixed views on it. Really, I do mixed views on it. But I think if you're out there and you want to come home to vote, um, you should pay your own way. But I'm not going to tell you to turn down a ticket from a party representative if they're offering to help you to come home. I'm choosing my words carefully here.
You could Devon, I don't come home. You better believe it. And I asking you the question. I would love it to be tested in the courts, but until it is tested, we just having a hypothetical conversation. I will tell you in
Yes.
reality,
Yes.
until they say that it is actually illegal, you take a ticket. Why are you saying you got some Miami will those want to see election time?
No,
That's my personal
Yeah.
opinion.
no, I
But
don't
I'm
blame the person
speaking.
for taking the ticket.
Yeah.
I don't blame the person for taking the ticket.
Um, Devon, I heard you also mention that young
Mhm.
people tend to label politics as dirty. What do you think could be done to change this?
More participation of young people, and it doesn't necessarily mean everybody putting on a green shirt or a blue shirt, but even on the backstage, behind the scenes, getting involved. And so, if you're saying that politics is dirty, and you consider yourself to be trustworthy and believe in good governance and accountability, get involved and be a part of the change that you want to see. There are others who may argue that politics does corrupt um, people. It is something that I could definitely understand because there are certain demands that would be made of a politician by some of their supporters. And then you have a situation where politicians may be met with an ultimatum where supporters and their families are saying, Boss, you either give me the house and a piece of land, or it's me and me 10 votes can stay home. And so politicians are placed between a rock and a hard place. And they say, boy, I mean, do your boy, me want to win or no, but I mean, I really want to do that, you know? So I think it also has to do with the people. You can't on one say you want it to be clean and you want governance, but then you're asking your representative to give you a house for free. You ain't plan to pay for it. So you ain't get the house from. You go thief it one way or the other. Whether
Hmm.
you thief the blocks or I thief the other material. One way or the other, it has to be stolen. And a lot of that happens where we sing two songs at the same time. We say, yeah, we want good governance. Yes, we don't want the dirty politicians. But then we pressure them, get a house and land and care and all kind of thing. So I think we are part of the problem. I don't want to blame the people around, but I think we are a part of the problem.
Um,
But
to an
hold on, Alan.
extent, but are the politician.
Do,
I don't blame the
do you
politicians
do
for
you
that.
think that the problem could also be the interactions that we see between politicians, especially during the election cycle, where there's so many personal attacks launched at each other? Do you think that could be one of the things as well? Because I have heard some things that people have said, and I don't hold my mouth and say, "Yo, no, that can't go on a public forum." But
Let me tell you something,
you
right?
know,
Y'all will be surprised. Half of the things that these politicians say is what they get from the ordinary man and woman, you know? So when you hear
mm,
nasty things going around about politicians, it's not necessarily what their opponent may have said or dug up about them, you know? But it's people who probably on the team who probably secretly plotting for them to lose. Ordinary people who
mm,
say that they love people and they're advocating for gender equality or whatever they want to think. It. So
yeah,
yes, the personal
yeah, but
attacks is one,
Devon,
but is where they come from.
Devon, Devon, some of these attacks across the line. Some of these attacks
That's
really
true.
across the line. Like I have told Alan, there was a statement made one time that I had a bust on my mouth for it.
Mm.
Listen, I'm listening to the premiere today, and he was saying, he has said things about Paris, and Paris said things about he, but when they see each other, they say, "What's up, cuz? What's up, this?" And they are able to piece it up. And Reese, I think for the benefit of neighbors, I should still be able, as I said, to communicate. But there's certain things that does be said
No, there's certain
which
lines that can't be
we
crossed.
can't piece it up. The
No, there's
premier
certain lines that cannot be
the
crossed.
premier consistently does say Janice need to go jail. But then the premier saying, man, talk to me for need to say.
Mm-hmm.
How?
Mm-hmm.
And then you are the highest example what I have in the country.
Yeah.
um,
There's certain things that can't be said. Certain lines can't be crossed. Can't speak about people's children and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Devon, at what age did you become politically conscious? Conscious.
Hmm. I'm gonna be very with you. I would say it was about 19, 20. Got involved
It don't
in
happen late. It happen
27.
late, don't it?
Yeah, I got involved, but I wasn't too sure. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was excited, boy. I wanted to know what this politics about and what NRP
Yeah,
about, and
that's how
get
it
a
be.
better understanding.
That's how it be.
And then your family, everybody involved, so you want to see what's going on, right? But I got conscious when I was about 19, 20, when I started to see certain things and understand certain things and say, oh, okay, cool.
How old were you when you saw your first constitution? And maybe you see the hard copy, but you see the St. Kitts and Nevis constitution.
I think I was 17, 18,
Okay.
around that age, but I didn't read it in its entirety. Just saw the cover
The,
and I saw the section.
the reason why I ask you those questions and the reason why I wouldn't blame the people for labeling politics dirty, if you're
Mm-hmm.
ignorant, there is no context for you to approach the subject matter. We are not exposed to these civics matters and how to be in society and your rights until you reach these advanced ages.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you reach in a certain field, you have just a natural, you're inquisitive. Somebody tell you, man, go find out about the constitution, them kind of ways. But if we're not teaching it in the schools, you're gonna just be talking to people and they're gonna say, man, all I hear about politics is dirty politician.
Mm-hmm.
But they ain't teaching them nothing about school. I mean, I like the fact that they just have like these primary school voting and high school voting for president and so. But if you just
Mm-hmm.
got them voting and you're in teaching them like rights, and I'm not just talking
Right.
about rights for in school, I'm talking about rights for in your country. Let me tell you something. In case these people ain't realize about these primary school votes, these is popularity contests. Huh?
Yeah.
We're not teaching anything. If anything, when you look at people coming in and saying it's dirty politician, when I be in a primary school and high school, I'll be watching thing and I'll be saying, boy, this is a popularity contest. This is not gonna do you good to
Mm-hmm.
the work.
Yeah. Who you know and who know you?
Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily blame the people. We go start as early as possible. I would say by grade 6, grade 5, you start to bring in some kind of civics lessons, and definitely by first farm. I mean, you got people in a high school who get locked up, no? At least let them get them fundamental rights. Let them know, well, when you reach in the station, they only could hold you for 48 hours and then you got to go by the magistrate and them kind of thing. At least tell them and them what going on. Don't
Mm-hmm.
let the first time they hear about the constitutional rights be in front of the magistrate. At least let them be down in the station and say, officer, it's 4 more hours. What's the charges? What's the charges? So we ain't getting in a position to know. So I feel like that's a part of the disconnect.
But I don't know that you've battled the Constitution. Devon, what are your
Mm.
thoughts on constitutional reform? The Constitution was written back in 1983, so we're looking at 40 years ago. and it hasn't really had much changes or much significant changes. What do you think about where we are with the Constitution and what should be changed? Because I think there's a lot of things that should be changed in the Constitution.
I'll be honest with you, I can't pinpoint exactly right now, but my biggest issue with the Constitution, of course, is its age, where it's very archaic. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you have a mentality right now where people are saying the law is the law and the law is the law. They don't care
Mm-hmm.
about what is right or wrong. They're telling you this is what the law says, and so you go with what is written. Certain lawmakers over the years have hinted at their intention to make amendments or do constitutional reform, but you have not really seen much attention being paid to that. So I'm really hoping that in this new dispensation that them guys will take it serious and stop talking about it. Stop having these discussions about constitutional reform. Do it.
Agreed. Okay, so here's one thing that we have currently. Both the federal and local elections were held rather closely to each other in terms of dates, right? Would it be good to see a set election date where both federal and local elections are held on the same day? All politics done one day, and we're back to working.
Mm. That is not a bad idea. You just have to work out the maybe this is a small one, but the logistics. I'm trying to imagine how it will happen having local elections and federal elections on the
Well,
same day.
when you look
Cause
at it,
remember
you have
remember the federal elections also impact Nevis too, eh?
well, I'll give you a great example. You have an election, if, for example, in the U.S., you vote for senators and you still vote for the president.
Mm.
Some some
So it
elections
is
you
not
vote for your
impossible.
governor. It is not impossible, not at all. It is
America
not
would have
impossible.
voted 10 thing one time. America also would have voted pan. You see, I like how they
Legislation as
debating
well.
this legislation about integrity in public life. Would they get to vote man that day? All these things would they get vote man. Um, Devon, by chance, while we are on the integrity in public life, did you see any copy? I think it was supposed to be circulated to the public for review and comments. Were you able to see any copies of the legislation?
I went looking. Was it yesterday? No, it wasn't yesterday. A few days ago, I went looking for the registration because I was following the conversation and looking at the suggestion being made by the premier to have that amendment. So I wanted to get myself properly acquainted with what is existing now. But no, haven't seen anything shared recently.
But listen, I even went to the post that he made about Janice when he was talking about this is all NRP fault. 'Cause I was thinking that this is wonderful marketing. 'Cause he could have put the link at the end. And I
Mm,
could have gone and see the legislation one time, but I didn't. I was unable
mm.
to see legislation anywhere. I just wanted to know if you were able to see that. Um, who is on the job but already dismissed?
The premier. We know
Okay,
that.
okay.
He on the job, but he don't
Okay.
get on way.
I feel you. I feel you. I just want to make sure because you got some
But
people don't
Devon,
get the letter.
where you get Tony from?
In time to come.
Intend to come, okay. Intend to come.
Um, um, Oh yeah. Another thing y'all had say. Y'all was saying that the current crop of politicians are lacking something what is needed. You see? What I want to know is what in your opinion, what in your perspective is lacking right now, um, in the current crop of politicians?
Maturity. Them people that behave so childish, right? They're
Okay.
not mature. And when they say they're not mature, in this day and age, some of the garbage that comes from their mouth, some of the things that they share, and then these are the very same people who go to parliament and pass legislations and ordinances to talk about preventing crime and supporting education and supporting social development and all these things. So I just find that they lack the ability to be mature, and they got too much. They say one thing and say another thing. And yeah, I don't like that.
I got to put on my CCM hat now. Now I might get in some question, in some trouble now for the question. So if we're looking at maturity, what you think has been the issue on the opposition bench? Is that a maturity circumstance there?
Yeah, I think what took place on the opposition bench was, people thought that they knew all about the politics and they knew how to um, negotiate, and that was not the case. And so you had very childish behavior going on, very like things like throwing a tantrum. You ever deal with a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old? I have nieces and nephews, so I could tell you. You know, they behave like how they behave at times when something don't go their way. So that is what I think the issue was that created this whole what's the word I use in the article that I wrote? Boy, I can't find the word.
The
But
thing
yeah,
is that all the young people in my life behave for me. It's only when they go around at them people that misbehave, but for me, oh my god, they love me. Me good. When they go
Boy.
home, yeah, but that when they go on with the cuisines. See what else again, see what else. Oh yes. Oh yes. You say you were on a panel discussing our status and whether we should be pursuing being a republic. What did you learn from that panel? And what was your conclusion coming out of it?
why? Alan, one thing stood out was when the AG highlighted the fact that when the Constitution was penned, the best interest of Nevis was at the forefront. And so them guys ensured that they put certain things in writing to protect Nevis. And I thought that was very interesting. And I thought that it was, let me say, thoughtful to say the least. But it was very interesting to see the thinking. If some even suggested that that's where the divisiveness started between Sinkis and Nevis in terms of Sinkis versus Nevis. My conclusion, I arrive at the fact that Sinkis and Nevis is time for us to move to a republic status, not because everybody is doing it, but I think there is a misconception out there that if we move to republic status, um, all will not be well, and if we move to a republic status, there will be this drastic change in how certain things are done in the country. And after participating in that discussion, I realized that was not the case. Removing to a republic status is basically something like a name change. You know? It's like you're married and you're getting divorced. I mean, there's certain problems you're gonna work out with house a lot like yeah. But when I say getting divorced, I mean dropping the name or keeping the name is up to you.
So you think that we should pursue Republican status?
Yes.
So 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 you have confidence currently in the institutions that we have in order to make this move.
I don't have any confidence. Does not mean that we should not move to a republic status. So perhaps the process will be delayed because
Okay.
I mean we have a situation now with the electoral office, a bunch of story going on down there, yeah, right? But the institutions know, the institutions know, no, doesn't mean that the process should not happen. It may be delayed, but that is a part of becoming a republic, fixing the issues or addressing the issues that exist at those institutions.
Makes
Um,
sense.
if anything going on down by the Republic, end up in need to challenge it on time. On time.
Why?
Gotta
On
file
time.
on time. Yeah. Gotta file on time. Gotta be ready.
Well, I don't know now. Devon, what's the benefit that you see of becoming a republic, and what would be the difference in the federation as well?
What will be the
What is the benefit of becoming a republic, and also what would be the difference of becoming a republic as well?
well? As I said, when I was in the discussion, to my surprise, wasn't a situation with drastic change. So, for instance, look at currency, where we currently have the Queen on it. I think the EC is one of the strongest currencies in the Caribbean region. People who here just think that if we were to become a republic, then it would decrease the value or devalue of our money, and that's not the case. You're
Mm.
simply dropping a title, you're simply dropping a name. So it's not a case where you're going to lose all this money. What's going to have happen is, for example, you have the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force. That going to change. So things that have certain connotations, make reference to the Queen, will have to change. Wording in our constitution would have to change. Of course, these changes going to be expensive, because it's not just changing, but facilitating the change in terms of name and all of that. There's certain monuments and things in the federation that would have to either be knocked down or changed if we were to become a republic. So
But
it's a
me
name
not see,
change first instance, but there's certain things that will follow.
Well,
me not see what make
I,
it,
I
I don't see why any of the royal family things need to change. We have the Brantleys. So the royal family is already what need to change.
this is it. Um, I think that if we drafting a constitution comes with becoming a republic, and that is the only way that it looks like we may have a chance of going back into the constitution and making some changes, then I am for it. Because they don't see that nobody else wanted it. So if that's what we got to do, take the constitution we drafted and some amendments made and some new language put in there,
Absolutely.
we should take care of that.
Devon, did the AG explain the context of why Nevis got those particular provisions? Are you ever put it together? Devon still with me, no? You hear me, no?
I dropped out the call. I don't know what happened.
No. Oh yeah, I was asking you if the AG gave you the context as to why Nevis got those provisions when the Constitution was amended, if you put it together.
N- No, no. He
Okay.
just said basically guys who penned the Constitution back in '83 were looking out for Nevis. Thinking about Nevis and they ensured that Nevis was protected.
Well, they had to because I remember that they don't lose Anguilla, and if you don't know the the manifesto for NRP before the independence election was 2 words, maybe three. We were independence. We were secession, something like that. So it wasn't a long story. So when they saying it like they were looking out for Nevis, remember the context. 1967 is fight. There was fighting. Is lock them and lock up people. Take away people rights and all these kind of things. And Nevis was in the same situation. When SK a little built up, Nevis still a struggle now. And it's the same thing Anguilla run from. And then eventually Nevis was like, bro, if this is how you want to deal with us, let us go. So when you hear them say they was looking out for us, just understand that they just like how we start off, there was context there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I need to
Mhm.
send you a white paper so you could get a little more context too.
Yeah,
You could see
please.
you could see from them times there what I was thinking.
Uh-huh.
You was mentioning that you feel like individuals are tired of the current way politics are conducted. You feel so, Devon? Why you
I
do
feel it. I feel they are right, and I guess it's because I talk to a lot of people. You guys hearing me?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, because I think there was a pause there. I feel so honestly because, again, I think it's because of the conversations that I have with people, um, where they often express their disappointment and displeasure with how politics is the way it is in Nevis. Um, and you saw signs of it in December. When I say signs of it, meaning people were not pleased with how the politics was going in Nevis, and so they wanted their voice to be heard. Yes, we have a situation where the concerns and issues Nevisians face are not translating into votes, and so they're not voting. They're not coming out and saying, "Hey, I'm not in favor of this, and so I'm going to vote against it." You just have a situation, sorry, where there is a lot of talk, a lot of chatter, but no action. This morning I was on my way over to St. Kitts and I was having a conversation with someone, and it was the same thing we were here talking about. We are here talking about Nivisions. I believe, yes, they want change because they say they want change, but they are not doing what is necessary. And change is not just changing the government, but change is across the board in how things are done and our attitude in Nevis, the development of the country. This is not just on the government to do. But we, as a people, as a Nivision people, we have a responsibility as well.
Yasan Tafari was asking in the comments, if there's an executive president, do you think that is something that would be welcome? So in the freedom of America, we vote for a president and then we got senators around that. You think that's something that's possible in the US?
It is possible, but welcome. I'm not so certain. It'll probably take a while for our people to digest it because I don't know if we like new things, So
If,
it's possible,
if,
but it don't take a while
if
for us to digest it.
as long as the senators could control the power, I wouldn't fight it. I wouldn't fight it.
Mm,
Yeah,
right.
just like in America, and he got to go to make certain decisions. I'll spend over
Mm.
certain limits. I wouldn't like it.
Uh,
I feel
And
I don't.
when you look at that, right, Alan, it
Mhm,
takes away all this power that a prime minister or a premier has that they shouldn't have,
mhm,
which was the conversation that was it today why it was happening some time ago. It was today on another radio station they were talking about how powerful a prime minister is, how powerful a premier is, and that shouldn't be.
we don't need the
And I
topics
think that
kind
will
of
help us to
the
achieve good
bush.
governance, accountability.
Oh yeah, good guys.
Alan, that a tough boy.
You don't think so?
No, it's tough, I tell you. Because while it appears to be that way, right? If you have it that way, really and truly only take an executive signature to change a lot of things. So you even give him more power. You really give him more power to the person you're trying to take power from. Example, Donald Trump, executive orders. You really give him more power.
Uh,
You really could only hold them accountable when it comes to for the budget.
Yeah, but watch out. Even the executive orders could only carry you so far. It give you get a veto, and I
Trump
feel
got a
all of
wall.
that,
Trump got a wall billionaire. The wall stars and stop here. Nah,
and that's what I
well,
mean. Is a limit.
yeah. Yeah. I don't. You have anything else that we're gonna be wrapping it up because
No, no,
we
no.
have.
Me cool, me cool. Devon is a professional broadcaster.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, one thing, Devon, we gonna be coming back with a constitution reform episode. We had one before. We be coming back with another one. So we may be reaching out to you to assist us with that as well, because you're in that sphere and you have that knowledge that we're gonna need. I'm gonna be here as well as Eric will be back as well.
and I'm available, so you guys reach
I
out to
like
me,
to
let me
hear.
know. And
I like to hear that.
I'll do
But
the
Them
with that
time,
homework.
being said,
them time that Devon gonna be camera ready.
yeah, man, never gonna be. What? How you mean? How you mean? And at that point, we even have to reach out to one of our friends and have them assist us if it's possible. If Devon is not able to get it done, we'll get it done for him. Because we need Devon and Gamma.
Mm-hmm.
Because he got the voice and the looks. You got the looks for it too. Yeah, the man just, you know, the man is a
You
million
look like
percent
a
fair.
people. You know
The
them
man
kind of
is,
way that
yo,
when you just look like a
Yeah.
you see somebody and you say, "Bye, he's somebody."
no,
He got to be
yeah,
somebody.
you just look at him, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I don't listen at the radio, but then when Devon got his show on, I don't tune in and listen.
good.
Yeah. So Devon, big up yourself,
I'm
man.
humble.
Really proud of you.
I'm
What you have
humble.
been able to accomplish over the years, and we know that you have a bright future ahead of you. Um, Thank you for accepting our invitation. Any words before you leave, before we close out?
Well, again, thank you guys for the opportunity to be in the program. I really enjoyed the conversation. I was reading the comments, and when I'm finished, I'll go and read to look at the feedback and everything. It was a good
No,
talk, but I think
don't read the comments,
I want to
man, because
say,
you're gonna blush a lot.
I want
Yeah,
to say maybe this is part one, because we definitely have to continue the conversation. I'm available. Just give me a heads up, and I'll be happy to join. So until next time, y'all stay safe.
All
thank
right
you,
then.
thank you.
Thanks, man.
Alan, anything before we roll out?
Well, me good.
You good?
Get ready for the topics. Get ready for the topics. We're going to do. We're going straight into the vibes. Cause we
Getting straight
starting
into the
late.
topic.
Straight into the vibes.
Yeah. All right, Devon, Mr. Cornelius, thank you for joining us. We'll be reaching out to you again. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, it's been real.
Mm.
All right,
Bless.
cool.
Master Control, take it away.
I got to hobble by. I like the game. Then we have no.
Yeah. I just, but I know that's about the shit they got on there, you know. That's yeah, that's about the shit. That's his quality. You make the shot look good, man.
Yeah. I walk out by. I need a shot with a color. I look. I say, well, me got a shot with a color right here, so.
You make the shot
I
look
mean,
good,
I'm
man.
used to.
Yeah.
We on the corner, man.